Dr. Fiegel. Today's Sunday, May 9th. Today I'm going to be discussing the lab I did for week 7, which we studied biomes, ecosystems, and habitats. Um, so biomes we learned are geographic regions that are defined or characterized by climate and the organisms that live within that biome. Biologists have identified 5 major biomes in the world, the largest being the aquatic biome, with it covering, I think, 75% of the Earth. Um, the other 4 are the forest biome, tundra biome, desert biome, and grassland biome. This week I focused on the forest biome because that's kind of what's in my surroundings, and that's where I did my lab this week. I've got a short clip where me and my assistant went out and did our lab and took a dirt sample. So we'll check that out, and I'll be back shortly.
Hello, Dr. Fiegel. We're here set up in the woods, actually right behind our house. If you could see right there. In the very end of our yard, there's a small little pond we thought would be cool for our experiment this week. I'm here with my assistant, Sebastian. Say hi.
Hi.
We're gonna do an experiment, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we set up our 1 meter by 1 meter square.
Dad, it doesn't get safety glasses.
Yeah, oh, safety glasses. We did forget safety glasses for Bastion. We'll go get safety glasses shortly. All right, so first thing I guess we want to identify is the temperature. We're about 29 degrees Celsius, and actually has been the best day in Germany since we've been here. We've been here 6 months. So we're definitely enjoying our time outdoors doing this experiment today. So we've done some observations. Checked out some wildlife while we sat back in our backyard and just peeked back at the pond. We'll report back to you shortly and let you know what we found. All right, one thing real quick as well, Dr. Fiegel, we did collect our soil sample. Sebastian, show the soil sample, because we're going to test the pH levels of the dirt back here. All right, we'll see you shortly.
All right, hope you enjoyed that. We sure did. My assistant he's really enjoyed doing these labs these last few weeks with me. So the 2 areas we tested on was our backyard. We've got a little pond in the back and then in the trees a little bit. And one of our hikes we did this week was also in the forest. We did our sample on our hike. So answering some of the questions for our lab this week, date and time. So it was today that we did our backyard, Sunday the 9th, Mother's Day. Current weather conditions were windy. I mean, it was the nicest temperature-wise day I've experienced in Germany so far, but the wind was just hectic. The ground type and color, I mean, we had soil. It was quite grassy, patchy. Topography was rather flat. There was a little slope over by the pond, but our test area was flat and for both of them, with very little direct sun exposure. I mean, we were in the trees. There was plenty of shade, so we had very little direct sunlight. The vegetation within the surrounding maybe 50 meters, I'd say we'd probably be about 90% covered. Of course, less trees in my backyard as we did in the forest. If I had to take a guess, maybe a couple hundred trees. And then bushes and shrub-like plants. In my house, there's a few more. I'd say maybe about 20, 25 compared to the forest, where we had less shrubs. I'd say in a 50-meter radius, we probably had maybe 4 or 5 around our test area. Environments, I guess you could consider they definitely were not the same. They had some similarities, but not identical. From looking at the quadrants, it would be easy to confuse both of them for being the same area. But taking a step back and observing our surroundings and the wildlife in the area, we could definitely see that that was not the case. In my backyard, because we live in the neighborhood, wildlife is more scarce. Occasionally we see a rabbit here and there. Deer's way back far. I mean, we're surrounded by fields in the mountains here as well. But in the 50-meter radius we were observing, rabbits, I'd say, is probably all we've seen. Um, Observing the area, we had lots of bugs, ants. The forest, on the other hand, we had a lot more birds. I mean, you could hear the birds chirping. Um, we did see some disturbed soil where that looked pretty fresh, where there's a lot of wild hogs here. They obviously at night they would come out and scavenge for food. We saw some deer prints. We did not see any of these animals during the day, but that's of course because it's during the day. There's lots of hikers out. But it's very evident that they do exist and they do roam around at night after hours. Had we probably stayed overnight and try to identify these animals, I'm sure that would have been the case. But for our study, we were probably out only maybe half an hour. We did not encounter any of this wildlife. There's abundance of I would say, of food for these animals to thrive on. For the deer and the wild hogs. Wild hogs here are quite a problem, similar to we used to live in Texas, and they would just overpopulate, and they were a real issue, especially the farmers. Here, I mean, I'm a huge golfer, so I mean, we've got electric fences all around the golf course because otherwise they go in and tear up the turf, which would not be good. We identified our biome as forest here where I live. I think that my observations supported my hypothesis where for what we saw, the wildlife that we encountered or didn't encounter. But we definitely we found evidence of it that it does exist in the area. The final thing I want to do before I sign off here is do the pH sample with you. So take a strip. We've got our water with our soil, so we're going to take just a quick sample, dip it in. And according to the instructions, you just put it in and quickly remove it, and then we try to match it to the pH scale here. And try to match the color. Looks like we're probably about pH level 6. And according to the USGS website, pH level 6 is about equivalent to a glass of milk, urine, or saliva. A pH level of 7 being neutral. So 6 I feel like is pretty good. Not too acidic. But yeah, this concludes this week's lab, and my final lab. I'm going to be one short, but I really appreciate this class. I appreciate your support and your involvement. And I feel like you were very involved. With that said, I'll sign off and wish you best of luck. Thanks, Dr. Fiegel.